All right, today I wanted to go over buying your first Bitcoin. This is a huge part of about what uh, First Step Bitcoin is all about. Helping people to get started in Bitcoin, to buy that first Bitcoin, and then to move to HODL 520, which is to buy your first $500 of Bitcoin, move it to a secure, safe wallet, and then hold it there for 20 years so Bitcoin has a chance to work its magic for you. So buying your first Bitcoin. Let's talk about first places that you can buy Bitcoin. There's several different types of places where you can buy Bitcoin, and I'll talk a little bit about those first. The one that I recommend you start at, if you have a bank account, this is the best place to start buying Bitcoin if you're living in the United States or Canada. And that would be a Bitcoin brokerage, right, or a Bitcoin exchange. It would be something like you may have heard of things like Coinbase or Gemini or other things like that. I would actually recommend you use different ones first, Bitcoin only ones. And there's a good reason for this. I don't think all the dust has settled. You may have heard over the past few years there's been some problems in the crypto environment. It's very important to take note of that there is a difference between Bitcoin and crypto. Really, Bitcoin is not crypto, and crypto is not Bitcoin. And that I say it that way for two distinct reasons, actually, because Bitcoin is a totally different thing. Crypto is inspired by Bitcoin, but it doesn't operate your typical altcoin or cryptocurrency, like Ethereum, XRP. They operate very differently than Bitcoin operates. Bitcoin was created, if you read the Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper, you'll understand that Bitcoin, and if you follow his commentary in the early days, it was created to solve some of the problems that we have with our fiat currency system. And one of those big problems is inflation. And many of these cryptocurrencies, that is the last thing that they do is solve inflation. They have the ability to create more and more billions, trillions of coins whenever the owners or controllers of it. The other thing is they wanted to transfer from a system of rulers to a system of rules, right? Rules versus rulers. And that is to say that they wanted our money system to be based on a fair set of rules, not controlled by some individuals or rulers who could change things at a whim and cause damage to other people in the system. And this is what happens in our fiat currency system all the time. Many times these people, I believe that they're trying to do the best they can, that they believe that what they're doing is good, but for decades and decades in the United States with our current fiat system, they've made mistakes that have really hurt the individual, that have really hurt amongst. If you are worried about taking care of the poor and the needy in America and those who can't take care of themselves, they are the ones that get hurt the most by the monetary decisions we make in this country. Inflation is brutal for people that are on a fixed income. It's brutal for people that have small income. And so this is these types of changes we're wanting to be about by Bitcoin. And that's one of the reasons why Bitcoin is not crypto, right? It is decentralized. It's based on rules. It has a finite supply, a fixed supply. You can't increase it. All these things help to make money much more fair. And then Bitcoin, by the same reason, is not crypto. It's not like Ethereum. It's not like XRP or some of these other cryptocurrencies that you may be familiar with. Bitcoin cannot do the things they do. Bitcoin does not have a president, a director, a controller like a Vitalik Buterin or someone like that who controls or a central team that controls the progress and direction. Bitcoin is a community driven thing, and there is no central power base that controls those things like you'll see in those other ones. And quite frankly, in many cases, cryptocurrencies were just created pretty much like a scam. And I'm not saying all of them, but some of them definitely were just taking opportunity of this new technology, this new way of handling money to print money for themselves that they could use it, and essentially almost a Ponzi scheme to where they create it and then they're selling it off to people who are buying it. And in many cases, using most of the money to buy Bitcoin of all things. So, which is funny because as you get more into the community and whatnot, you will see that that a lot of these altcoins, cryptocurrencies, are very anti-Bitcoin in certain ways. And I think it's the competitive nature of it and the way that they're all losing value over time, according to Bitcoin. And people trust Bitcoin more. They see how much more powerful it is. And so they feel like they have to compete against it. But then in a huge amount of cases, when they are converting whatever they sell from the cryptocurrency created to some other form of currency, they're converting it to Bitcoin. So it's really an interesting situation. So back to the main thought, Bitcoin exchanges are where you can buy Bitcoin, and why you would not want to why you'd want to use a Bitcoin only exchange. That's what I recommend you use. Something like Swan Bitcoin, something like River, something like Strike. Even Cash App would be another good one to use because it's simple to set up. It's really good for teenagers. As a matter of fact, if you're 13 to 17 years old and you have the permission of a parent and you want to buy Bitcoin or invest in stocks, index funds, things like that, Cash App is a great tool for teenagers to do that. So I'd recommend you use those because they are Bitcoin only. And I talked earlier about waiting for the dust to settle. Well, that's part of the problem. The SEC, some of these companies have gone and made huge abuses in setting up their cryptocurrencies, and or their crypto exchanges like FTX, right, that went belly up. And it turned out that there was a lot of fraudulent activity happening. They were not using their funds the way they had promised their investors they would. They weren't keeping them safe. They essentially gambled them away, lost them, did not have enough to cover, as from my understanding, which could be incorrect, but that they were just had mismanaged the funds, right? And so this caused a lot of pain in the crypto environment, which also trickled over to the Bitcoin environment. But Bitcoin did recover rather quickly from these downturns, whereas the other cryptocurrencies have not to this date. So why am I bringing that up again? It's because many of those cryptocurrencies were not set up legally, let's say, or not that they were created illegally, but they didn't abide by all the laws that the SEC has deemed necessary for selling of securities. And what does that mean? Bitcoin is actually viewed as a commodity. It's something that can be produced by anyone. It's not produced by one group of people. There's something called a Howey test. I won't go deep into it here, but since the SEC in the United States has taken kind of control of governing cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin at this point, they have ruled that Bitcoin is a commodity and it doesn't need to be regulated like a security. A security would be something like a company that has gone public and sells shares of stocks to the public. They're deemed as security and they need to follow a certain set of rules. Well, almost all the cryptocurrencies that have been created out there will be classified as securities, and anybody who sold them will be classified as a securities dealer or a securities broker, and they will also need to follow by a certain set of rules. And so since Coinbase and Gemini and some of these others have been selling things, Binance, another one, selling these cryptocurrencies that did not register properly with the SEC, that aren't abiding by certain rules, they are now sellers they can be viewed as sellers of these things. So I worry about their future and what's going to happen to them. So I recommend, that's one of the big reasons I recommend people buy it off of some other Bitcoin only brokerage like Swan, River, Strike, Cash App. I don't think you're going to face any problems with those, at least not at this point in time that we can see down the road. So that's the best place to buy it is a place like that. And it's really simple to buy it from a Bitcoin only brokerage. You're going to need a phone. I highly recommend you do it from your smartphone. They're kind of set up that way to work that. Many of them, or actually all of them, have an app that you can download that you can set up your account on. And I will include in the description, if wherever you're watching this, if it supports a description, I'll put some links to these brokerages where you can buy Bitcoin. And it's really easy to set up. It's way easier than setting up a bank account. It's way faster. It's way faster than setting up, like, say, an account at like a Fidelity or someplace like that where you would buy other stocks and whatnot. It's very simple. You just need a phone, your phone number, your email address, your social security number, your bank information. So just the same kind of thing that you would need if you were opening up, an E-Trade or a Fidelity or some account like that. You just need your basic, identification and a bank account so you can transfer funds over so you can actually buy, in this case, Bitcoin, right? So it's very simple to do. We've done it in less than 10 minutes. So when I've been helping people before to get it set up, it's very simple. From time to time, we do hit little snags. But I think over time, things are getting simpler and smoother, actually. But yeah, if you have all that information that I just mentioned, and why I recommend a smartphone too, by the way, is in many cases, they are going to want you to take a selfie. They were going to want a picture of your driver's license and a selfie to make sure that it's one form of verification. That is not something that is required by Bitcoin exchanges, by the way. That's something that's required by the government. So you'll see that just about anywhere where you set up accounts for things nowadays. If you go to a bank to set up an account, they're going to want to see your driver's license. Make sure you are who you say you are. So anyways, that Bitcoin exchange is the first and best place I would recommend that you buy Bitcoin. You can also buy Bitcoin at what are called Bitcoin ATMs, and you may have even seen a Bitcoin ATM inside a convenience store or some other store somewhere. And there you can use cash inserted into the Bitcoin ATM, and then it will send you out Bitcoin to an address of your choosing, or it'll create an address for you to send it to, an address that you'll control. And so that's another way. That would be a way to do it if you don't have a bank account for some reason. The drawback to using that one over a brokerage or a Bitcoin exchange would be that you're going to pay higher fees on that. You're probably going to pay 5 to 10% in fees. So if you deposit $100 to buy Bitcoin in a Bitcoin ATM, you're probably going to get like $90 or $95 worth of Bitcoin. So that's the downside. But I know I've actually helped people that don't have bank accounts, and they're limited to doing something like that. The other thing that you can do is there are peer-to-peer apps and groups where you can go and find people. It works just like an OfferUp or a Facebook Marketplace type of a thing. You're matching sellers with buyers, and it's the same thing. You're matching sellers of Bitcoin with buyers of Bitcoin, and you can meet in public places and exchange cash. They'll send you Bitcoin, and then you can verify it. And so that's another way you can do it if you don't have a bank account. So yeah, those are some of the basic ways to buy Bitcoin. And again, it is very simple. If you use one of these, if you have a bank account, use one of the Bitcoin exchanges. Like I said, I'll leave a description in the links below, and you can buy your first Bitcoin. And the cool thing about those, you can buy as little as $10 worth of Bitcoin on these Bitcoin exchanges. And so you don't need very much to start. Most of them allow you to set up a recurring buy as well, or an automatic buy. So you can set it up so each week you buy, say, $10 worth of Bitcoin. Or you could buy each month, you could buy $100 worth of Bitcoin. You set it up to however you feel comfortable. And in future episodes, we'll get into setting up recurring buys and what have you. But today, just wanted to let you know it is very easy nowadays to buy Bitcoin and to set up a wallet to save it and to secure it and save it in a safe place. And we will be going over that and wallets and whatnot in a future episode as well. But for today, I just want to get that message out that there's really no reason technically or in terms of difficulty to getting started in Bitcoin at this point in time. The places that I've mentioned, Swan Bitcoin, River, Strike.me, Cash App, these are great places and very easy places to buy your first Bitcoin and get started on this journey. So if you need more help with this, I do a weekly Q&A call in my school community, First Step Bitcoin. You can go to school, that's SKOOL.com, and search that up. If this, wherever you're watching this video, this episode, if it supports descriptions, I'll also put a link to my school community. I highly recommend you join it because the whole purpose of that community is to make it as easy. We work together to make it as easy as possible for new people to buy Bitcoin and to get started into HODL 520, which we will also talk about in another episode. That's it's a great it's like an investing strategy, but it's also like a learning course in investing, not just in Bitcoin, especially in Bitcoin, but the lessons learned there can be applied other places. But that's where we teach you to buy your first $500 worth of Bitcoin, move it to a safe wallet, and commit to hold it there for 20 years so it can do its magic for you, so Bitcoin can grow and build wealth for you. And by doing so, you learn a lot of things, like I said, that are applicable, that can be applied, that can be useful as you do other investing, right? Whether you're buying stocks or index funds. And also, when we talk about first step Bitcoin, it really is, I want to help you learn how to invest for the long term, for the long haul, and how long-term thinking benefits you. And so Bitcoin is the tool. I think it's the best tool to start learning with in this. But I will have classes and lessons once you move past the Bitcoin phase on how you can start investing in very simple ways and really increase your returns, as opposed to the advice that you'll get from mainstream financial people. Your funds just won't be productive. I mean, one case, an example, I was helping one of my friends just recently. She had a significant amount of money put aside and had been invested with a big name bank with their investment division. And for the last 5 years, from 2019 to 24, it was worth almost exactly the same. They had taken a lot out in fees, but the growth just wasn't there. And the problem with this is that the worst performing asset in my portfolio over that same period of time grew like 2.3, 2.4 times in value, something around that. And that was that was pretty much the growth of the market as a whole. It grew, and over that 5 year period, that's how much it increased. And so she was essentially almost sitting on the sidelines, not getting any of the growth during this period because of how they were managing her funds. So I want to teach you these things, not just so you know how to use Bitcoin, invest in Bitcoin, but so you can apply those lessons to your other investing, because your investment should grow over in time. They should be providing growth for you, and you should be investing away. And it's very simple to do so, to invest in a way that you get to capture growth and build a better, stronger, bigger money future, financial future. And many things in Wall Street are not set up to help you out. And a lot of the advice that's given will not benefit you as much as it will benefit other people. So I want to teach you that. But the first step is Bitcoin. First step Bitcoin is the way. It's the way to start learning. It's the way to get going on these things. And then from there you can progress. You can learn some other things as well about investing. And really, by the end of the journey, you'll know exactly, where you should invest, what you should invest in, how long you should hold it for, and what tax vehicles you should use to save yourself on taxes too. So we'll cover all these things over time, but right now in this community, we're working on the first step, and that's Bitcoin. First step Bitcoin, getting you started there, getting you over to a brokerage where you buy your first Bitcoin, and then from there getting you into HODL 520, where you set up some recurring buys, or you take a chunk, buy $500 with, and we'll teach you how to invest that $500 in Bitcoin and hold it for 20 years and get you going. And that way you can learn the lessons that I've been talking about here and start building a much bigger, much brighter financial future for yourself. So anyways, thanks for watching today. We'll be putting out many new episodes that'll help you along this journey. So wherever you caught this video, feel free to subscribe. Please subscribe so that we can continue to help you. And thanks again for tuning in today.